What's up, everyone? Kaiju no Kami here with
Cruellica Kain
and
Silver Quill,
and we are here to talk about Kamen Rider Revice, episodes 45 to 47.
also known as Kamen Rider. We can't get a dadgum break.
Not to go too far, I actually kind of find these episodes to be a little personally triggering for me. And I don't use triggering lightly. Because sadly I missed the scene. It was in episode 47, so I won't go too far. But it kind of reminded me once again of my own personal experience having a family member not remember who I was. So, and not that I'm going to stop watching, but it kind of made me a little sad. But overall, these episodes were awesome. You didn't like them?
He's sort of listening.
No.
He's listening to the side. He's going over. He's going this way. He's going. Almost a human contact here.
We'll get to it when we get to episode 47. I liked 45 and 46 a lot. I mean, it was weird how it was. It's like, oh, we beat Gifu. Oh, wait, we didn't beat Gifu. But I still liked the episodes. I loved Vice going, what is up with final bosses always being invincible?
Turns out you weren't fighting its true body.
Well, okay, before we go into it, what did you think of these episodes?
Okay, well, we gotta, I gotta segment them out. We've got the end of the Gifu conflict, and the start of the Kari-chan conflict.
For Juga.
Which I don't know what that means in Japanese. So, I enjoyed the conflict. It was especially gratifying to finally see Tamaki transform. I don't care if he's into the same Kamen Rider. He gets to be a participant. But then he gets his ass kicked and his driver taken away. It's like, oh, Tamaki, your moments of awesome are diamonds. They're these pressurized moments, but in between them is cool.
Well, like the episode title was 45 was really kind of going through the process because Hiromi has resigned himself to having to be kind of like on the sidelines type character. That he cannot fight anymore because he has sacrificed so much already.
He's the organs of an 80-year-old.
And so he's resigned himself, and Tamaki, I think for him, and it's not jealousy, I think it's almost like feeling purposeless. Because that's kind of how I took episode 45. Because in 45, we kind of see what the next result is after what happened in 44, where they push Gifu back, kind of destroying him, or they think they destroyed him, back into his pocket dimension. And when they do so, all of these cocoons come out. Or we think they're cocoons. And so these cocoons come out, one of which being Ultraman. And so it was kind of interesting when we see everybody searching for Ultraman because of the fact of
he's going to be the biggest threat if they don't get him right now.
Well, they assume he'll be the biggest threat. And so the one really cool thing, and I don't want to get biblical here, but it made me think when the cocoon dissipated and it turned into bugs, I thought of locusts.
The plagues.
The plagues. So for anybody who is not familiar with the Bible, they talk about...
Or X-Men.
It's this little book that you find in hotels. Actually, do they still do that?
Yes, they do. Actually, some hotels include it with the Torah and the Quran.
Oh, there you go.
But, so... And this is Old Testament type stuff.
Okay, just get to the point.
So in there are different elements of the apocalypse. One of which is the plagues of locusts.
Also, frogs,
raining blood.
Well, that's for the plagues of Egypt.
Yeah, that's what we're
Well,
saying.
that's what we're talking about.
Okay,
Because that means the end of the world.
Frogs, flooding, blood raining from the skies, fire, I believe. Now, really, I think God was actually very utilitarian because the frogs probably ate the locusts. You know, plagues kind of cancel each other's out over time.
But yes, it happened in Egypt, but the messaging was these are the plagues of the apocalypse overall.
But they never explained, okay, so it's supposed to be in Egypt. Well, which Egyptian god is the one that sends these?
No.
It's not the... We're not going to get into this.
Well, no,
it's not the Egyptian god, it is Yahweh.
No way.
Either
My way.
Oh, the highway?
So...
They didn't have highways back then.
But nevertheless, when I saw the plague of locusts, it made me think, because then, so the locusts dissipate, go to other people, and kind of create their own mini cocoon, mini plague over all these people, and then the plagues turn into Giftarians. And through the Giftarians, we have Gifu form back, because he finds a way to take control or possess Vice. And so when he possesses Vice and comes back in physical form, he brings what I think of as almost like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They don't look like the 4 horsemen, but, and once again, if you're not biblical, X-Men.
Although I will say that umbrella sword still looks really terrifying. I could see war.
Yes.
I could see war of Darksiders. So we could go biblical, X-Men, Darksiders.
Actually, Darksiders was my other thought.
What? I'm taking that one. You gotta leave me something here.
Fine, I'll take...
She's claimed the Bible.
Yeah, I kind of claimed the big book.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the big book, and I'm like, I'm left with the Darksiders art book. There you go, that's what I got.
But I got those connotations.
Meanwhile, ever since Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, bugs in the ear has always been sort of a creep out for me.
Well, that's been a creep out for me, even outside of Wrath of Khan. Because there's a number of different...
How are we back in Star Trek discussion in the middle of our Toku reviews?
Because everything comes back to Star Trek. It's like 5 degrees of separation.
Because Star Trek, compared to Star Wars, is awesome.
I'm not getting into the Star Trek debate because you're always going to be wrong.
But anyways, I really... To stay on topic, I really did like the fact that they did... because Gifu, I think of as like the Toku version of Apocalypse, who is a Marvel X-Men character. But...
A marvelous X-Men
Well,
character.
he's my favorite villain. But, nevertheless, I really like that aspect where we are kind of... Yes, we're reusing some of the same costume designs, which I know has been a frustration of yours.
Well, it worked here because he was summoning past demons, so it made sense.
Mm-hmm. So 45, I think, was interesting because we had Vice, who is being possessed, but when he's not possessed, he's trying to protect Iki.
Well,
we have Iki.
Iki and Gifu are just having this very terrible custody battle over who's gonna get to take care of Vice. It's a messy divorce, and neither one can agree.
Meanwhile, Vice is like, hey guys, guess what I'm cosplaying as? What? I'm Jesus.
I thought of that too. I was like, I'm just waiting for the Spear of Longinus or the Stigmata to appear.
Oh no, I said he was actually doing his best Ultraman impersonation.
Which says something about whom you put belief in.
Well, no, because many Ultra series, especially in the Showa era, they're always getting crucified by the enemies.
But I did think, and that's kind of what helped purport the whole biblical aspect of, like, the apocalypse. Because while the crucifixion of Jesus wasn't part of the apocalypse, it was still...
Yeah, but, you know, Vice is just hanging around.
But I did think that was so cool.
Nailed
like,
it.
when he was kind of, like, I'm ignoring your nailed it joke. But when he was kind of walking out of the spa, like, in that possessed, like...
Oh, I love the way they did that with the motions and the blur effect going on.
I thought that was very cool. But then we also had, like, Sakura's mini-side story that expands in the next episode, because she's going through this whole having to come to reality that that Love Cub is not her biggest weakness anymore.
And wondering if she's really grown. I mean, in this series, you have a tangible measurements of growth, i.e. you have a new rider form.
Yes.
And while her weapons have evolved, she
has
herself, until she finally has a heart-to-heart and recognizes that Love Cub wants to fight with her. So in a way, even your weakness gains its own strengths.
I love that new form.
Well, I feel a little worried for it because, you know that saying, my eyes are up here? They're not anymore. So if I'm having a conversation with Love Cub, I'm going to look like a lech.
Well, I love the way the tentacles, when she initially transformed, the tendrils kind of look like Medusa heads. Because I got this whole, like, because I know it's a king cobra, but Medusa, obviously snake hair. But I got that whole, like, snake, like, Medusa feel, and I loved it because with the CGI aspect, I thought they worked really well. It was so much better than what they did in X8.
And still better CG than Kaiju.
Yes.
I'd say I thought of Uriel more than Medusa.
Uriel?
Uriel, Medusa's sister.
Oh.
I'm just...
Did she really rile her up?
But yeah, I love the new form for Sakura. My only thing is, why did you wait to the last 5 episodes to give it to her? But does this mean she doesn't have the scythe anymore? Because I want the scythe back.
Well, I mean, theoretically, if Love Cub is a part of her, she can summon any weapon.
Yeah, that's...
Well, hopefully.
Theoretically.
Because if you think about it, the tendrils actually kind of look like kunais at the end.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Okay, so one thing that happened also in episode 46, I will say that did annoy me, was when Iki said, well, Vice, we have discovered that we can make anything happen. I'm like, okay, yeah.
But it was offset by Vice, who was being strangled and nearly eaten by the monolith, going, easy for you to say!
Well, yes, I kind of... So, I feel like this was like... Wow, I'm going to say this because it feels like I've talked about it so much. It was almost like a come to Jesus moment. Because
Jesus needs a hug!
I still tell that story to people about what...
Well, yeah.
But nevertheless, moving on.
That was fire...
Oh, no. But anyways...
You're gonna get fired.
I liked how Iki, especially with the more memories he's losing, and the more they're proceeding forward with fighting, because in a way, I think he's losing his inhibitions. That's why he feels like anything can happen, because as parts of him are disappearing, there's no, like, risk anymore. So he can't sense that there's no, like, barrier to him being able to accomplish anything. Where Vice still remembers everything, and that's why he kind of says in that jokey manner, easy for you to say because you think this is so easy.
Well, there's a counterpart to that, I think, that Iki may be losing inhibition, but he's also losing his strength.
Yes, he is.
So right now he's flying high on sort of an adrenaline rush, But when it crashes, there's nothing to catch him.
Which we start to see, especially in episode 46, when they're separated. Because in episode 46, they come up with this plan where Vice is going to go into the pocket dimension to see what Gifu's real body is going to look like, which is basically the stone statue. And so I do like how how Vice is like panicking because he's nearly about to fall off the ledge, and then he keeps on fighting with CGI hands and stuff like that. Still better than Zenkaiger CGI. But, and when we look at Iki or Revi here, he's having a hard time fighting. He's still fighting and he's still inevitably able to win, but it is becoming more of a struggle for him.
I also did like the scenes though when we kept going back and forth between Kagero and Daiji.
I do like the fact that Kagero, more so than before, is becoming like ballsier. Because episode 47, when we get to that, I thought was really cool how they handled that. But I like how Kagero is like even chastising Daiji in the middle of battle. Like, are you sure you're going to do this? Are you saying you're going to fight all of them alone? Like, just mocking him the entire time.
Which makes him fight harder.
Yes.
Well,
I
didn't get to say, but I liked also when Tamaki got transformed. And then he's like, guys, can you lay off? It's my first time.
I know.
You never forget your first henshin.
But I was so proud of Tamaki.
Yes. Although, when they first started switching between Daiji and Kagero, thank you. I was like, wait, did he go behind the corner, change his clothes, and come back? It wasn't until a few more changes in the episodes I'm like, okay. Apparently his clothing is a demonic projection. Is this gonna be like a Doctor Who?
Well,
I was thinking of Golem.
Golem. Oh, this is Kamen Riders. No, but this is one.
But I do like the fact that they keep on changing. And I like the fact that when Love Cove, when you find out that the zipper that's appearing on his back, because that's all I kept her back. I kept on thinking of like a zipper. And I also thought of Doctor Who when Matt Smith first appeared and there's a crack in the sky. That's kind of what I thought of for her. But I was like hoping when she molted, because when
she'd get a new form, like
she would
demon
get
form.
a new body, because that's what happens with snakes. I know not all snakes actually molt and become a new being, but they'll have like color variations and things like that sometimes when they molt.
But you have this marketable plushie, this living
which I
plushie.
so want the plushie, but
seeing her charge into battle, I mean, headbutting demons left and right, which was fun. I was also reminded of when she was trying to get up the side of a building to get to the fight. So she's got the moves, just needs a little refinement.
I will say, Hiromi with the bow and arrow was kind of meh.
Well, I mean, that's George starting to act really weird and saying, well, here, I'm giving you this low-tech solution.
Well, I kind of feel like from what, especially with Masumi, his father dying, I feel like that was the litmus for him to like kind of break, because during the weekend arc, that's kind of what I'm going to call it just for simplicity's sake, we saw a lot of like cracks in George's veneer, because he now has his father back, who he thought it was dead, and so he's dealing with the emotional roller coaster that has to come with that. And then his father kind of acts very nonchalant, and then closer to when he's dying.
How many times you can say and then?
Leave me alone. But he then, because I'm going to say it, then becomes so caring near the end of where he wants to be that father figure, and George doesn't know how to process it.
And then he dies. And George misses out, and honestly, I don't think the reasons he's listed are the real motives.
No.
But,
Yes, so let's get to episode 47.
what?
Well, we're still finishing up 46.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Because if you think about it, with 46, that's when we see the beginning of this, because of the fact that Hiromi does ask for help, and his comment was, so you're not going to help humanity? And all he's focused is on this research, which is probably a combination of guilt, anger, and not knowing how to process his emotions. Something I think you should know all too well.
First, I have to feel guilty to have guilt.
but then, of course, he shares with his bow. Here, become Green Lantern now. Or, sorry, Green Arrow. Or Red Arrow.
So now we get to episode... So, in 46, we see the end to Gifu.
For now, at least.
Well, I kind of feel like this is a good point. Unless they do something in movies, which I know is always possible, I feel like right now is a perfect way of saying Gifu is over. And we see on the news in episode 47 that that there is awareness, unlike in Decker, that they know what's going on. They know Gifu exists. They know there's heirs
To his genetics.
to his genetics. They may not know exactly who those individuals are, but they know there's heirs out there because Akaishi did out that.
Yes. But we don't know what that point in the sky that seemed to be like a little hole with energy or a convergence.
I almost felt like it was a convergence.
So it's something left over.
And so...
It's a giftu.
And so we see in the spa, because almost everybody is there. We have father and son going through an adventure of trying to do this exercise of doing dominoes. So you go from a sit-up with a weight to put a domino on. Something that Chris Lidge, I think, needs to do in his life. Because him and our friend Kevin...
Are you kidding me? He wouldn't even get 3 up before he knocked him down.
True.
Well, I thought it was you just have to do it one sit-up to start the domino.
I don't know anymore. But... And so...
Sakura comes running across and misses every single...
No. So first, he says this, Daiji comes out, dressed, almost like dressed like he was going to school. And I know he's not in school anymore.
Phoenix.
Going to Phoenix, but, so he walks across, missing the lines of dominoes. Sakura, not paying attention to anything in the world, somehow magically knows where not to walk. And then Love Cove, my dear Love Cove, who is a bull in a china shop,
just bulldozes through the whole thing.
She has no legs with which to step.
But she just bulldozes right through that.
And so Daddy says, this was our comeback dominoes. And Iki, we find out, doesn't remember the original Dominoes adventure. Which,
To be fair, I don't at this point.
Well, there are a few things...
I don't remember if that was actually in an episode or not.
Well, there are a few things that they called back to. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But it was kind of sad because, once again, just like in my own real life experience, and I know many of others have experienced this, and it's always sad, and we don't wish it upon anyone, watching someone not remember. And I was thinking about it more so than the last conversation that we had. There's more than just dementia and Alzheimer's. I was actually thinking about anybody who actually gets amnesia. Because not all the time is amnesia recoverable. yes, there's temporary amnesia and things like that, but anybody who wakes up from a coma and has amnesia, or just in general has a severe head injury and gets amnesia, there's no... So, I think anyone who has ever experienced that or anything like that, it's because you're sitting on your damn phone. I think watching someone not remember something that was either so fun or pivotal to your life is kind of hard. But, so, we then transition to seeing Hana looking like she's going off to turn herself in and gets stopped and the shit kicked out of her. Then we see this, what I think of as a Hitchcockian experience where everybody is kind of cleaning up the weekend facility and the house that apparently now has more stuff than it ever had before.
All the stuff's in the basement.
That trunk.
Like that trunk, that poor...
Well, because Haruki is trying to lift it, but he's injured. So him struggling, he wasn't like struggling, but he's like, okay, this is tough. Hiromi, who is my spirit animal, and I think we all... get this feeling.
We had it last weekend.
So...
Last weekend.
So, Hiromi generously tries to help, and they're carrying this like, crate, which I think of your crate that you have all of your Mac stuff in.
It is actually the exact same model, maybe not the interior.
But they're carrying this, and Haruki is not struggling as bad, because I think he has what he thinks of as additional support, and Hiromi, once again my spirit animal, is huffing and puffing like, oh my god, what the did I sign on to? And once they get it upstairs, and he's like huffing and puffing, and then Tamaki is on high at the next level, and he's like, you have to come see this. So Haruki runs upstairs to look at this black spot, and Hiromi struggles to get up the stairs, or we assume, because he's standing at the doorway like, and I'm like, I felt that way so much in the last week.
Well, and remember, these two 350-pound box frame. We had several weight building enthusiasts helping with the move, and all of them were pulling a Harumi by the end, because no one expects that much out of a box frame, but there you go!
Okay, to be fair, we have an ergonomic bed that moves, and it has a lot of machinery attached to it. If it was just a simple box frame...
Oh yeah, wait, I'm not blaming you. Well, yes I am, because you bought it, but, it's still 350 pounds.
And so... him, and two of our other friends who were helping us move.
3?
Well, I don't know what Ron can lift, so I don't want to be assumptive. But
he was there. He was there.
I understand.
Okay, just get to the point.
But they all can lift much more than 350 pounds on their own.
Well, yeah, Kevin, even me, I deadlift 380, 400, 410.
But that says a bar with weights on the end. This is a box. This thing is not meant to be carried by one soul.
But it makes me laugh so much, because each of them can lift more than 400 pounds. And they were all struggling. I didn't even attempt it, because I'm not stupid. And...
Wait. Okay. I would like you to revisit that phrasing.
Tag. Next time we move, you're moving the bed.
I would like for you to visit that phrasing.
Okay. Fine. I did not attempt it because I didn't want a hernia.
Okay. Anyway, getting back to Revice.
Well, I can't lift 350 pounds.
We will have words. Oh, yes.
So then it turns out our final villain of the series
Well, we don't know that.
is an Evo Kamen Rider.
Well...
Yay!
Well, okay, let's be honest. Gifu didn't have much personality.
Yes, but an Evo Kamen Rider villain. Because we haven't had that in Saber, Zero One, Geo, Build, X8. I think...
We didn't have it in Ghost.
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, well Ghost was
Because
a Kamen Rider.
it was the movie Rider
Yes,
as
you're right.
in Ghost. I think Drive was the last series to not have...
Oh, yeah, he was an evil rider. They had an evil rider.
Was he...
Yeah, he was an Evil Rider.
There was an evil
Yeah.
rider.
Wait, I'm trying to think...
The professor, the evil professor.
Oh, yes, that's right. So he, and then Gaim.
But we also see the shadow of George's demon.
Yes.
And Wizard.
Which was a really cool looking shadow. It made me want to see what it looked like.
She saw the muscles.
So Forze.
Maybe he can move your bed next time.
Forze was the last Kamen Rider series that the main villain was not an evil rider.
So, okay, to be fair, when I think of a main villain, Gifu in my mind truly is the main villain.
Okay, but final boss.
But
The final boss
This is the Fallout final
is
boss.
another evil Kamen Rider.
But I feel, okay, comparatively to the rest of them, kind of like with Drive, because Drive, there was a narrative purpose for it. And I do feel here, there is a narrative purpose to it. It's not like, okay, Ghost. Ghost is a great example, so is Build. And I love Build, don't get me wrong. But there wasn't like this strong narrative purpose for the Evil Rider. It was kind of like built into the story because the entire, like Build, for example, really was Build versus Evil Rider. Build versus Evil Rider with your monsters of the week. And same thing with Ghost. You had Evil Riders throughout the series. Here...
No, you didn't.
Okay, well, simplicity... let me finish my comment, damn it! But here, you haven't had Evil Riders throughout the series. You've had...
Yes, I know, but...
and it kind of feels like this is a narrative shift because of the fact that George... I almost think in the back of George's mind, if we look at the story of how it has progressed, George has had this subtle love-hate with the Igarashi family. Because the Igarashi family has defied a lot of expectations. They're four because of Dad, that have these capabilities of having a sentient demon that allows them to master capabilities that others have not been able to do.
Yes, but that's the whole point of Kamen Rider, is that their powers are all based on the villains.
No, I understand that.
But I'm just saying, I liked the episode, I'm just saying it was another evil Kamen Rider.
But
so that has, I liked the episode, but now Revice has kind of gone like, eh.
See, I can't agree with that because I kind of feel as though it is a necessity because where his commentary of coming from, even if it is his demon, is the fact that George is really saying, okay, we have defeated Gifu.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but my point is it's another final boss Kamen Rider that we have had in the last 7, 8, 9 series.
What did you think of the episode?
Well, one, I'm a little sorry that they already used the name ARC, because it would have been fitting for that many animal genomes.
Mm-hmm.
Except for T-Rex, that doesn't belong in the ARC,
well,
unless you're a crazy spot in Utah.
All I saw with his genomes is Beast Wars characters. Purple T-Rex, Megatron, Gorilla, Optimus Primal, Pterosaur, what was the bear? The grizzly bear was grizzly.
Polar Claw?
No, not the other one they did. That was like a convention exclusive. Cyber Shark. Oh God.
I feel like we're reaching at this point. Red Mammoth?
That was Ironhide.
Okay.
Because he was part of the
Magnaboss, yeah.
Yeah.
He made like 75% of the damn thing.
And they never they never stayed together. But that's all I thought of, is I was just waiting for maximize those Predacons.
Is that what you were saying? The audio was blaring during the transformation scene, so I couldn't hear you.
The audio in these last few episodes has been the transformation audio, not the dialogue.
Well, no, I will say the mics in the bathhouse have been really weird, because they have this like static sound every time they were talking, and when they would stop talking, you just have this sudden like silence.
Like they turned everything
like
off.
A pop of a silence, and then
who's pop?
It felt like it just kept, like the audio just kept dropping out, even though it wasn't at times.
Papa, can you hear me?
But
who's Papa?
I'd like to know. That's why I'm asking. But you're talking about someone's pop,
and that comes from a movie.
Yes. So I like the new rider design. I think it's pretty cool.
Same here.
I've gained an appreciation for how the designs of a Kamen Rider flow up the side of a body or across the shoulders, both with Veil and Juga.
I love his music, though.
So, I find it so funny that the transformation declares that he's basically a narcissist.
Yes, which it's so fitting for him. Now, the other thing I liked about this particular episode is when we get to Tamaki finding Hana, he calls Iki, because apparently he has him on speed dial, and is like, Hana's been attacked. And in the midst of it, you hear him about to get attacked, and then we cut to him, and there's fighting, but I felt very Hitchcockian, and as you mentioned it was like some assumed violence.
Very quick cuts. Like, okay, Hitchcock is widely celebrated for many scenes, but one of the most prominent is in Psycho, the shower murder scene. But if you take that and slow it down to frame by frame, you see him miss. You see the blade never actually pierces the body, but because of the implied violence, because of the quick cuts, that iconic music, and just the overall sudden barrage, you picture the violence far better than you see it.
And so we get to that where he then detransforms, and I love the tunnel that they use.
Especially when Vice ran in there, the camera was following Vice and then kind of went around their battle, around them.
It was very claustrophobic feeling, like it was very... I felt like...
It was showing that George has tunnel vision.
Wow, that was really poignant, because that's true.
Also, they were operating with a low overhead.
Actually, all I'm thinking of is his name being Juga, George of the Juga.
George, Juga, the Juga. Friends to no one.
He named himself Juga because Kuga was already taken.
But I think what really hit me off guard, and this was the one time I looked down.
Told you that you should be paying attention, not looking at your phone.
I looked down for a split second. Oh, and anyways, in that split second, shit happens.
We had to tell her that Iki had forgotten his parents.
So apparently his parents walk in, from what you say, and...
Shopping.
That was longer than a second, just so you know.
Well, nevertheless, it went by very quickly. But we then have the siblings now finding out that, because Iki may not have been hiding it, but his parents have been, they're not trying to... Them and Vice have not shared. And we now see in this scene where Mama is, like, really devastated. Like, it's hitting her more. She can't stay as cheerful as she was.
She needs some... She even says, I need time to digest this.
And so the siblings now know that Iki is losing his memory, and they don't know how to process this, because Iki is willing to continue sacrificing himself for his family, and Sakura has the best comment. Well, what is the point if you don't remember said family anymore? And Kagero, this proves that they know how to do cuts very well, because there is such symmetry from when you go from Kagero in a completely different outfit to changing back to Daiji.
Back to Kagero, back to Daiji.
Who has to apologize. I mean, they had to do a lot of planning on the physical, to do it all in one recording.
That and the lights being perfectly timed as going out in the background.
Which you commented on as the...
I thought that was so cool, because you see all the lights, like, in, like, unison, like, like, going out. And I didn't know if that was on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Or if that was just kind of like something in Japan for their normal office buildings.
To turn all the lights out, I'm pretty sure that was meant to symbolize Iki's memories.
Well, yeah. Everything was blacking out.
But it was devastating.
Because also, if you notice, the only lights left were the one by Sakura and the one by Daiji.
Oh, okay, now I get you. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we go back to the bathhouse, because they're talking there. And this is another time where they get symmetry done perfectly for the recording, because you're going back and forth between Kagero and Daiji. Like Daiji's sitting on the edge of the chair. Then you cut to Kagero sitting in the exact same position talking. He moves, leans on a table to talk, and then you cut perfectly to have Daiji leaning against the table and standing up. I thought that was very well done cinematography, because you really have excellent transitioning.
And then, like I was mentioning, the music was awesome. That music, whenever George transformed, was freaking badass.
Yes, because it's the only thing I can still hear in the ringing of my ears.
That's how awesome it was. It was so awesome.
Now, it's also very telling of the Igarashi siblings that they're willing to surrender their drivers and stamps if it means sparing Iki
anymore.
So, but George ain't having none of that. He wants a fight.
Well, and I feel...
Well, I like that. Well, if I did that, what'd be my point?
Once again, this reminds me of you. You would be that sort of villain.
I just appreciate that the family is willing to consider the path of least resistance. Because if George wins, there's not really a doom of humanity at play. This is much more personal for Iki now.
Well, yeah, it's now a personal battle. It's not about humanity. It's now...
Humanity is saved, now we got to worry about the protagonist.
Well, I really think more so, if you think about it, and this is what I was talking about before, I really feel for George, it is a matter of, in his mind, he has lost everything. He has lost his father twice. He didn't get a chance to reconcile, even if he doesn't actually feel guilty. Because I don't see George kind of in that way of naturally feeling guilty, but not knowing how to reconcile his thoughts. It may not be guilt, it just could be reconciling how to handle it. I feel like for George, it is a matter of, it's all the Igarashi's fault that this has happened. While his father was the progenitor of putting the Gifu genes into the Igarashi family, I feel like in his mind, if not for the Igarashis, none of this would have happened.
Also, he's got 2 demons influencing his personality. It's hard to know how much George himself is in the driver's seat.
Well, and the question is, was George ever in the driver's seat in the series?
Also a good question.
I will say, though, George is now trying to chew the scenery like Akashi did.
Well, I will say, blink, George, blink. I mean, he's wide-eyed through the whole
I
thing.
don't think he's chewing the scenery the same way Akaishi did. Because Akaishi, the actor for Akaishi, well, he was chewing the scenery. I think for him, the actor, while he may be a very experienced actor, I think was purposely hamming it up. For George, he has been hamming it subtly throughout the series.
Goddamn.
So I don't think it's more of chewing the scenery. I think he's trying to show madness.
Which is why he's wide-eyed.
Because I think he's been a mad scientist the entire series.
You see, I'm just watching him wide-eyed, waiting for him to blink. He never blinks.
No.
And the last time...
Maybe he doesn't want a weeping angel chasing after him.
Well, honestly, if we're going to go biblical, I kept thinking of the movie Jesus Christ Superstar. Son of God never blinks in that.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
creepy.
that's a point, though. There's a purpose to that.
Who doesn't blink?
George and Jesus?
No, I mean in the movie.
In Jesus,
Jesus Christ
Yeah.
Superstar.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I think we're all a little tired.
Well, no.
No, because I didn't know the movie was actually about Jesus.
Jesus Christ Superstar.
I thought that was just the title. About some rock star.
Oh, so you thought it was Jesus Christ, Superstar?
No, I just thought that was the title, and the movie was about some rock star who was like this big name thing.
You know how much the movie would have changed context-wise? It'd be like, Jesus Christ, Superstar?
That's how people talk to him. Okay, well, we may need to expand his movie repertoire, but yeah, I figured he
Well,
was...
I think you've seen the Mel Gibson
Yeah, I
Passion
saw
of the
that one,
Christ.
so I've got the story down. I don't need to see it again.
That's...
You've gotten the story down.
That's what you used to get the story down?
I like how you
Gibson.
said that. I love how you said that, though. I think I have the story down. Honestly, to be fair in a way, it is a very Cliff Notes version.
Cliff Notes, it's ow, ow, oh, ow, ee, I'm dead, I'm alive. Okay, end.
Well,
That's...
Yeah, the ending ruined
like I
the
said,
movie.
the ending ruined the movie? That's in the...
No, because the ending, when it went also, because the whole movie went this, like this humanistic route, but then at the end of the movie, then suddenly it turned into supernatural. That ruined the movie for me.
The power of cinema compels you. The power of cinema compels you.
Well, actually, my aunt, who is a nun, says Passion of the Christ is a fantastic film.
It made by a madman.
Well, okay, how many movies have been made by a madman?
Yeah, well, honestly, I will withhold because I have not seen it, but I don't...
You have never... Okay, then you kind of have no point in
I've seen... All it is blood, guts, and gore.
Well, okay.
No, actually,
Let me ask this question. Have you read...
The Bible?
Yes. No, legitimately.
Yes, no, maybe. What?
Have you read the
oh my
Bible?
God, we're not getting into this.
No, have you legitimately read how bloody the Bible is?
Oh, yeah, it's a blood fest.
I was gonna say, and you're saying that Passion of the Christ is like blood.
Okay,
Because
well,
it's mostly 2 hours of the suffering on the cross, not the lead up to it, or even the message. Even when he prays, "Forgive them, Father," the next thing we see is a crow take a gouge a person's
Actually,
eye out.
I think you should watch it because it's not just the suffering.
I'm gonna hold... Well, we'll put it on the to-do list.
Okay, fair.
whatever.
I'll watch it with Marcus.
No, I'm good. Although I still love the Boondocks little comic of it. Oh, you saw Passion of the Christ? No. I didn't like it. Whoa. It was because of all its violence and everything? No. Because who the hell wants to read a movie? I wanted to watch the movie.
It's subtitled.
Yeah, that was Riley's response to Huey. But anyway,
I'm still getting over that's your story's done by watching The Passion of the Christ.
I've got the basics of the story. That's all I need.
The basics of the story. Then.
He hung around.
Okay, moving.
I found this on the Passion of the Christ Wikipedia. The Passion of the Christ is a 2004 American epic biblical drama film produced, directed, and co-written by Mel Gibson, starring Jim Chavez
And
all right.
Jesus of ... All
right.
Open page.
So anyway, with that said, I mean, I am pissed about we just having another evil Kamen Rider for the villain, but
I'm pissed that
No,
but
said you
I
could-
liked these episodes. I can't wait for the finale. I can't. I don't know how this is going to last 3 episodes though, so I'm a little
Actually,
bit like.
3 episodes.
I
seems
feel
about
like,
right.
yeah, I kind of feel like it could run its course from 3 episodes. Because if you think about it, the next 2 episodes are going to be more fighting with this, and the last episode is probably going to be like the epilogue in a way.
But we'll have to see. All I know is that we're probably going to have 2 videos left for Revice. Maybe. I don't know if we'll actually get to do 1 each week. Because you go out the weekend.
I will be out 1 week.
Unless you manage to come over like a few days before you fly out so we can watch episode 49.
It's really that important to you. Let's talk.
But anyway, and that's all we've got. What did you guys think of these episodes? Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. You can support me and Cruellica on Patreon at Kaiju no Kami. Also Instagram, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, something else. And the website is creativitybydesignllc.com. There is a cool store. You can buy Kaiju no Kami merchandise at creativitybydesignllc.com/shop, or there's a link in the description below that will take you to the store. Buy my merch.
Or send him a copy of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Want to send us a copy of the Bible? I probably have like 2 lying around, but it can't hurt to have another one.
Or you can send him Passion of the Christ. But anyway, you are.
Oh, Passion!
I'm Silver Quill, and you can find me as MLP Silver Quill on Twitter, DeviantArt, and YouTube. If you look for me on YouTube, also after the fact, Silver Quill, because otherwise you get a news program. I don't know if they've covered Passion of the Christ. They're recent, so probably not. But
Well, maybe you should. They'll diversify you.
to diversify me, hey, why is my channel burst into flame? So this has been an interesting revelation.
Ooh, gotcha. Gotcha with the revelation.
Yes.
Saw him not coming.
Nice!
But don't be cross with us.
Do your Job.
Oh, look at my joke.
Alright, and with that said, until next time,
We're your arch rivals.
bye.